Well, it's the recognition that's divided the world for years. And today, Australia joined a chorus of countries calling for the recognition of a Palestinian state. The Prime Minister's decision putting us at odds with world superpower, the United States.
A two-state solution is humanity's best hope to break the cycle of violence in the Middle East and to bring an end to the conflict, suffering and starvation in Gaza.
Political scientist and honorary professor at the University of Sydney, Simon Jackman, joins me. Simon, appreciate your time. Why has our Prime Minister decided to do this, and why now?
I think it had been in the works for quite some time, but I think the decisions by the United Kingdom, France, Canada in particular, really gave the government no other choice now. Now is the time to do this. There's a ton of head cover from other members of the Western Alliance system. And also looking at that march we had 2 weeks ago. It was a terrible day in Sydney, yet 90,000 people marched on the bridge, a measure, I think, of how deeply this is resonating inside Australian domestic politics and in parts of the Labor Party in particular.
Some are saying it's tokenistic, others that it's rewarding terrorism. Is it either of those things?
I don't think it's the latter, for a start. I think it is a measure of tokenism. Australia is a long way from the Middle East. It is an announcement about what might happen at some date in the future. There's unstated conditions attached to it. But nonetheless, Australia adding its voice to this chorus of major Western powers now that are isolating both the Netanyahu government and, importantly, the Trump administration. So I think it's an important step.
Do you think someone like President Trump, being the last guy standing, is that going to sway him?
It might. But I think what is swaying Donald Trump is television. The images coming out of Gaza at the moment, just as it's galvanised public opinion in Australia, I think is also having an impact on an avid consumer of television, one Donald Trump. And I think he is starting to realise perhaps he's lent a little too far forward on this one. He's the key player in all this, to be honest, in terms of changing facts on the ground and on what timeline.
Well, that's it. I mean, unless the US supports it, nothing happens. And what does this also mean for our relationship with the US? It's kind of on a bit of shaky ground. Does Australia's decision today impact that at all? I
don't think so. I think this has been very carefully workshopped. Again, Australia did not front-run this. We are coming in behind other big partners of the United States, Britain in particular, with whom Trump and Keir Starmer seem to have a workable relationship. This seems to be surviving that. I expect this will as well, Australia being part of this chorus. Now, I don't think that's going to draw any undue attention or ire from the Trump administration.
So a condition of recognition is that Hamas has no role in any future government. We've seen what they do to those who dissent. What is the likelihood of them being kicked out? And where will they go?
They are being taken apart as an operational entity, and that is something that the Israeli military action is in fact doing. But the sentiment that gives rise to a formation like Hamas, there's that retreat back into, frankly, what's left of Palestinian civil society. And if and when we have elections for a Palestinian government, where does that sentiment go? Because this has happened in the past, where free and fair elections have led to quite militant voices finding their way into legitimate positions of authority in some form of a Palestinian government.
I mean, just looking at the state of Gaza right now, it is gutted, people are starving. It is hard to imagine how they'll become a functioning state, let alone hold an election.
While this is a very welcome statement from Canberra today, statements in Canberra aren't making, tonight at least, people less hungry or more secure in Gaza. And I think what is it the world system can do to change those circumstances? Elections and the form of a Palestinian regime going forward are a long way down the track from here.
Is there anything in today's announcement that makes Israel more vulnerable?
Absolutely. This puts ever more pressure on Israel. Australia, a, quote, middle power, but joining the Western Alliance and a set of countries that on most days of the week are rock solid with the United States on most questions coming before the United Nations, showing that it is willing to break company with the United States on this issue. I think that's enormously significant.
What about the impact here at home? For almost 2 years, we've seen just how ugly things can get, even though the conflict is half a world away.
I'd be astonished if today's announcement led to unrest here. The writing's been on the wall for this one. It was just a question of when, not if, Australia would join international partners in recognising a Palestinian state. So I don't think this is landing as a huge surprise, although nonetheless disappointing to members of the Jewish community.
So a two-state solution, when you have Israelis and Palestinians living peacefully side by side, after everything we have seen happen, do you honestly think it's possible?
I think a two-state solution is a precursor, a necessary precursor. It is not in and of itself sufficient to end the cycle of violence, but I do accept that without an embrace of a two-state solution, we will never break the cycle of violence. So a necessary condition, perhaps not sufficient to bring about something that has eluded the Middle East for a very, very long time.
Appreciate it, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali.